the Mind Basketball Podcast, also known as M.O.B Podcast. I am Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this is our basketball podcast where we recap, break down, and analyze players and teams from the previous games from the previous day. How are you this Thursday afternoon, Ja?
I finally don't feel tired for the first time. That's crazy. I feel kind of good. And mind you, I had a long day last night.
And of course, you had that rant that you did. So I guess maybe that rejuvenated you throughout the rest of the day, you know?
Yeah, it did. It felt good giving it to him. I'll give it
That's your most hated now, James Harden.
Yeah. Well, no, okay. I'm not gonna say most hated, but he's getting there.
If any of you are confused about what we were talking about, go watch our breaking news episode that we released in the middle of the day last night when we cover the 4-team deal that sent James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets. Ja was very passionate on his take about James Harden and how he handled his situation in Houston.
Yeah.
All right. Let's leave that situation at that. Hope everyone's having a good day. I hope everyone will have a good day. Not much happened in terms of the games last night. A lot happened in terms of the trades that we went over. But in terms of the games, a really quiet night. But basketball highlights nonetheless and things to talk about. So let's do it. Let's jump right into it. So first game that we should talk about, I guess, will be the Battle of New York. After the trade that they got to Harden, a lot of the Nets roster were ineligible to play, obviously, because they were traded. LeVert, Allen, Prince, they weren't played. So the Nets were pretty undermanned, had a 9-player roster, but it didn't feel like that in terms of the energy they came out with. They came out balling, they came out hooping. Their role players really stepped up for them. Their bench players really stepped up for them. And that's what Steve Nash needed for them in order to win this game. It couldn't be just KD, and it wasn't just KD.
Exactly.
And as for the Knicks, they felt like, the energy wasn't really there in the beginning. It felt like in the first half, Julius Randle was the only one really balling. Quickly had some good buckets as well, but it was mainly just Randle doing his thing. More so in the third quarter, I felt like RJ Barrett got more into rhythm.
Yes.
And he had, I think, 13 points. He had 13
points. He had 13. He had 13 in the quarter. I think it was the second or third quarter. I don't remember. But I know in one of the quarters he had like a double-digit points.
Yes. 13 points in the quarter, and what was it? What else? Oh, yeah. 3 points in the quarter, and the Knicks tried to make a run late, but at that point it was too late. The Nets already got into a good lead, a comfortable lead, and the Nets were able to win.
Well, you just said it right there. I don't think there's anything else to really go into detail, but the fact that, of course, the second best player in the world, Kevin Durant, he was cooking this game. He had it going on. And let's be honest, just like what you said with the trade situation that happened, look what you did, Harden. But with the whole trade situation that happened, you know what I mean? Like, this was a bright spot for the Nets in which, even though they still had KD, coaching, Steve Nash made good coaching adjustments in order to make his team play more freely. Like, you know what I mean? Play so well with Kevin Durant, and it worked out well. The Knicks struggled to find their rhythm outside of the fact of Julius Randle, but then just like what you said, others caught fire. Quickly had a good game. RJ Barrett got into a really good rhythm in one of the specific quarters, and he ended up having a good game right there. And even though they tried to make the run, it just didn't go well. It was just too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I were the Nets, I'll be really impressed and really happy with the team came and the energy. Everybody that stepped up, Bruce Brown, TLC, Joe Harris, like all those players. Some of them I don't even know who they were before yesterday.
Yeah.
They came out with all this energy. They came out with all this motivation or whatever, and they really got these minutes and they played well. And I would be really happy if I'm Steve Nash in a way that they adapted to the system and the way how they would just handle themselves in the game.
Exactly, especially with a time like this.
Yep, but nonetheless, a great win by the Nets, despite only having 9 players because of the trade, and they didn't seem like that throughout last night. So, good win by the Nets against the Knicks. All right, the second game that we're going to talk about that we covered happens to be the New Orleans Pelicans up against the sorry, sorry,
You know,
the New Orleans Pelicans up against Los Angeles Clippers. Not something that happened on my phone.
nah, you're fine.
And basically, how the Nets and the Knicks game went, this game went.
Yeah.
It was the Clippers got up to an early lead,
Mhm.
and then the second half hit, and the Pelicans started to come back, tried to make a late run in the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
but as I said with the Nets and the Knicks, it was a little too late, and the Clippers ended up winning.
Well, yeah, give credit. Like this is a championship contending team. Like they're contending for a championship, and the Clippers just had it going on. But like this is a kind of a dark look for them in terms of always like giving teams opportunities to come back. For a
Mm-hmm.
team that's good, you should not be giving teams room to make a comeback. Like you're just too good for that on both ends of the floor. But yet also give credit to the Pelicans because that just shows that how much again my team to look out for, like my surprise team, like
Yeah,
they're on the rise. You know what I mean? Like mind you, they didn't have
and
Zion,
without Zion, yeah, I was about to say that, and without Zion,
they didn't have Lonzo, and they didn't have Bledsoe, and yet they still came out playing tough, like
I
playing
mean,
talented offensively.
it
Go
would have been the same result with Lonzo.
on.
Bledsoe, yeah, but
Yeah,
Lonzo,
yeah. Let's be honest. The even though the Clippers won, they nobody on that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard did what they had to do. Nobody on that team was like the player to look out for. Actually, it was actually Alexander Nikhil Walker.
yes, yes,
He was
Alexander Kill Walker.
he was balling. The first quarter he came out, he looked like he was in that scoring mode immediately, and he had like I think 25 in the second half to finish off for like 37, if I'm wrong.
You're right.
He was balling. He was balling. He was going off. So
Yeah, surprise player that came out of nowhere for this game in the
yeah,
absence of their three starting players.
yeah,
And it really helped the Pelicans kind of help them try to get back into the game because Brandon
exactly.
Ingram needed some help. He wasn't going to do it alone. I mean, the Clippers really just watched out for Ingram. And that way, Ingram wasn't taking the shots that he usually took because of that defense the Clippers had on them.
Exactly.
So he
And
needed the other players to step up.
that's credit to being such an elite scorer. When you're such an elite scorer and you don't have your other your other stars to help complement you playing with you, then somebody has to step up, and that's what Walker did. Walker helped stepped up big time tremendously in that role as the second option.
It was like he passed Lonzo's career high in one night. Oh man, that was funny. But let's all jokes aside on Lonzo. A good win by the Clippers. Hard fought, tried effort for the Pelicans, but nonetheless, to no prevail against this championship contending team.
Yeah.
Let's. All right. Is there any teams, any players that you wanted to talk about? Anything that you noticed that happened last night?
Well, Porzingis came back
Yes, he did.
and he looked like his usual. My bad. He looked good. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be honest. He looked good. He looked like he was getting back into that form. He didn't look. He did. I okay. Let's be honest here. This Hornets team is not known for defense. Let's just
Yeah,
be honest. They're not that good defensively, and it's
but
just like
neither is anybody in the league now.
well, yeah, they're not that good defensively. But like, let's say even though he only had 16, like he looked like he was getting back into that rhythm. It wasn't that much rust, but that's not who I want to talk about here. The Mavericks had this game just locked. Like, they they just had it going offensively. Like, you know what I mean? Each and every
Mhm.
time the Hornets looked like they want to make a run, the Mavericks looked like they went on like a 25-30-0 run. Like, you know what I mean? Trying to really embarrass the Hornets. But the Hornets kept up the fight. But like the main player who I specifically want to pinpoint to is Luca, because Luca is so fundamentally sound, so fundamentally gifted, footwork, and that what makes him not just an elite playmaker, but a possible, but just an elite scorer. He's really good at scoring that basketball because he's able to be two steps ahead mentally wise. If you watch most of the shots he was doing, the most of the things he was doing with the ball in his hands, he was trying to find ways to just constantly get to the basket and attack. And especially against a team that is not that known for defense or not that good defensively, he was getting his way. He was being a big body. Let's just be honest. He was being a big body. So Luka Doncic, and they put up another triple double. One, I think he was 1 assist shy.
Uh, yeah, I believe he was 1 assist shy. And this is just Luca. We all know how Luca does. We all know what he can do. Yeah, he was 1 assist shy for
Yeah,
a triple double, but we all know what he can do. He's been doing it since he was 14.
yeah. I swear he's been doing this since a preteen.
So yeah, like it's no surprise there. Luca's just special.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see Porzingis back though. The Mavericks need him if they want to make a run deep into the playoffs, and it's good that he's back. And let's see if he can get 100%, and they can move up the ladder into the playoff seeding.
exactly. Yes.
All right. So what I wanted to talk about is the matchup between the Blazers and the Kings, and I want to talk about specifically the Blazers because they won this game off of the strength of their backcourt, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, who has been balling both of them individually as of late in this season, early start of the season. The Kings had a lead. They had like a 10-point lead, I believe.
Yeah,
And then the Blazers just turned it up, mainly Lillard dropped 40 in this game. And it's so fun when they're in sync and they're in sound, and that backcourt is just deadly. Really
exactly.
deadly. Probably the best scoring backcourt in the league as of right now, because Harden and Kyrie is a backcourt, but
Yeah.
nobody knows who Kyrie is, and we have to see how Harden can play. We'll have to see how Harden can play. Let me stop. Harden's gonna be Harden, but we
Harden,
have to see Kyrie come back.
if he doesn't
But yeah,
average in the last 3 games, then yeah, he's gonna be good.
and what's crazy is that I just realized that CJ is averaging more points than Dame at the start of the season,
Yeah.
which
Well,
just goes to show you how much he's been really balling.
yeah. We all know CJ was capable of putting up these kind of scoring numbers. Let's just be honest. It's just that he can't do it, like as skilled and as ISO skilled that he is. He's not that much of a dynamic scorer compared to Dame. But
Yes.
he's really good at he that. But that's what he could do. He could put the ball in the hole in many different ways on all 3 different levels. But the thing is, I felt like it's because Dame had a struggle in the beginning of the season to get his rhythm and flow scoring wise, while CJ just came out the gate doing it. Then
Yeah,
that's
CJ
I.
was the one who had that big night against Houston in game one.
Mhm.
So, I mean, game two.
Yeah, game 2 because
And
game 1.
Lillard struggled in game one against the Jazz.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But it was just really fun to watch them just go at it.
Yeah,
And then, of course, De'Aaron Fox, but De'Aaron Fox was outmatched in this matchup. It's not, it's not John Morant, De'Aaron Fox comparison. It's not the same. Damian Lillard's on a different level right now.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
a good one by the Blazers, who have been playing really good as late. They're 7-4, and I hope that they can keep this up and go as just like the Mavericks keep pushing into the playoff seeding.
yeah.
Well, it's all right. It's time for predictions times. Hopefully, none of these games get postponed. Like how 3 games got postponed last night.
Yeah.
Uh, but we have to see. Otherwise, it's been looking really bad in terms of the league. And all these postponements, it keeps happening. You might have to fear for the worst.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, as of this recording, all these games are on. So we're gonna talk about it. So let's go.
Let's get it.
All right. The Heat or the 76ers?
The Heat, if their stars are playing.
I got the Sixers, even if their stars are playing. I think the Sixers can win. The Hornets or the Raptors?
I'm look, I know you're gonna get pissed, but I'm gonna go with the Raptors for this one.
I'm not gonna get pissed because even when I'm before this podcast and I was looking at it, I got the Raptors too.
Okay. All right.
Let's see if they can get this win. Prove me wrong about how we've been talking about them. The first primetime game that we'll be covering features the San Antonio Spurs up against the Hardenless Rockets.
Rockets, because I feel like they're gonna come up with a chip on their shoulders now. They're gonna play with their own team.
I don't know, because I don't know if Oladipo's gonna be playing.
No, I don't think he is. No, because don't forget it's gonna be a game off before they have to.
Yeah, and also as of this recording, the trade hasn't been finalized yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we don't know yet. No, I don't think it is.
Yeah. So, but you still got the Rockets?
Yes, I'm still going to choose the Rockets.
I'm gonna choose the Spurs, but I'll be interested in seeing how the Rockets play without Harden.
Yeah. Okay.
The next primetime game that we'll be talking about features. Oh, this is a good one. The Warriors up against the Denver Nuggets. Who you got?
The Nuggets.
You got the Nuggets? I got the Warriors. Should be good. Jamal Murray and Curry.
Yeah.
Should be a fun little offensive battle. Mm-hmm. Of course, Jokic. Can't forget about Jokic. And Wiseman, this would be a good test for in his young career.
Yeah.
He probably gonna get schooled, but that's welcome to the league moment. So good for him. Good for him.
I'll do that.
Unless they put Draymond on Jokic, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And lastly, another interesting one: the Pacers, new look Pacers. Well, Depot-less Pacers up against the Trailblazers.
Blazers.
I got the Blazers. If LeVert was playing, would you have picked the Pacers?
If LeVert was, no, I want with the Blazers because that's new. That's new.
You need to see how it works. But I'm really interested in seeing that LeVert Sabonis duo that they will have. I mean, because Sabonis is just a monster, an underrated monster, a double machine, 20 and 12. And I think LeVert, with the help of him and the system that they have in Indiana, he can go into that star. Yeah. He's been sitting on that rising star, and I feel like in this Pacers team, he can now go into the star.
Yeah, gives him more free reign.
Mm-hmm. But all right, I think it's time to wrap things up. Any final thoughts? Anything about the 14 trade? Anything about Harden, Kyrie, last night, tonight's games? What
point though is the fact of we didn't talk about the defense, how the defense of the Nets will be with this Harden trade. We didn't talk about that, and also
it's true.
There's no Harden better be lucky. There's no fans available in attendance because that return to Houston.
But he did a lot for Houston.
Oh well, so what? Look at the way he went out. You know these fans are cruel and brutal when the player makes a decision to one out and the way they go about it. You know how they burned LeBron's jersey when he left Cleveland. Like you think they're not gonna do that to Harden?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, fair point. What was I gonna say about Harden? Oh, but defensively, I'm not that worried because Harden is underrated defensively. I think the media kind of torched his defensive ability ever since he came into the league, or ever since he's been in Houston.
Yeah.
KD's gotten better defensively ever since he's been in Golden State. Mm-hmm. I guess the big loss really is their post defense. Jared Allen was a key part of their post defense, and now he's gone. DeAndre Jordan isn't once what he was. He can still be effective, but I'm picking Jared Allen over him in this point in their careers. Yeah, so that's what I think. The post defense might be a problem.
Yeah, that's obvious. Yeah.
But nonetheless, I still got them as championship contenders. You know, I still got them as favorites. Everybody still got them as favorites. This doesn't really change anything. It should be interesting to see how this plays out in Brooklyn. It should be interesting. And by the way, I see you here. Power to the people. With that being said, thank you guys for watching today's pod. Make sure you tune into tomorrow's podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Also follow our M.O.B IG page down in the description below.
And once again, I am Evan.
I'm Ja.
And this was the Mind of Basketball Podcast.